Welcome to UNCAGED. Today we're speaking with Janette Chung. Janette is working really at the center of all things technology, all things emerging, all things that we all read about but don't fully understand. Janette's actually the one who's doing it. She's the Chief Product Officer of Copper, which is a smart cord that liberates the item level check data from on-premise point of sale systems. Janette is also involved with a ton of other startups, and we'll talk about her role as a startup advisor, an investor, working in fintech, e-commerce, and machine learning. Janette, I want to know a little bit about you and your career.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, I grew up in Hong Kong and I've been working in Silicon Valley for more than 15 years. I've been helping companies like PayPal and Alipay to build products in new verticals and new markets. Things that I'm really amazed by what we've done as practitioners in fintech is it can be so financially inclusive at a large scale. Look at Alipay. There are right now like more than 800 million users, and all began with an app where they were supporting payment for their marketplace. And that is also something that not just in China right now, as you can see, a lot of the countries in Southeast Asia are adopting similar wallet products where consumers can just take out their phone and be able to pay to each other and buy things in store and online as well. Later on, I decided that, hey, maybe we can have a similar play in the US. Maybe we can use data to help some of the underserved customers to get financial services. And that's the reason why I joined a few startups where I build fintech products for underserved segments, such as technicians and restaurant owners, to help them get to use the latest fintech, get paid easier, get paid faster, and able to get more money when they need it. And afterwards, I started to advise and help some of the startups in fintech and Web3 to help them understand how to maintain a great user experience, and yet at the same time managing the complexities with regulatory requirements, fraud management, and fund movement.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big challenges in life, right? With all of digital technology is managing that user experience whilst also making sure that we tick off all the boxes, whether it be regulatory, privacy, data concerns, all of those issues, and making sure that we get those things to align smoothly and ultimately easily, right? I mean, I think companies like Alipay are great examples of the ease of use. You know, if you can get that right, it's magical. But I mean, when you look out in the marketplace today, Janette, I mean, you are someone who has a purview to some of the most exciting technologies out there. What are you seeing that's really popping right now and showing some real promise?
Yeah, first of all, one thing that is really exciting is how some of the companies, they are providing a platform service called banking as a service, in which they will take care of all the challenges that we just talked about, whether it is know your customer, anti-money laundering, or fraud management. This platform will take care of all the hard part of it, and then they can offer the service for other startups that will focus on acquiring consumers and serving customers. And as you can see, that really by decoupling the service at the platform layer and the customer facing side of things, you are seeing a lot of innovations where some of these customer facing apps like Chime, for example, which is a neobank that use another banking as a service company, so that they will be able to iterate that experience fast based on who they want to serve. And you are seeing this going to be more verticalized,
Hmm.
because earlier we talked about how the value of data can really help the underserved customers to get the financial services that they cannot get before. And the
Hmm.
only way that you can get very valuable data is that this is a company where it is into the workflow of the workers or the company, so that they will be able to see the revenue and expense at the most granular level, and be able to identify who are the good actors, and therefore a fintech company can offer them, for example, line of credits at a
Hmm.
way that would not be possible in the past, in a more traditional manner, where these data are not visible by banks.
Yeah.
So you are going to see a lot of the fintech that are the banking services are actually combining with SaaS, which is a software as a service, so that they are together, the financial services with the data of how the company operates
Right.
will create something magical.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I mean, obviously, we've seen many technologies. Certainly, Alipay is a good example, but also Stripe and other tools that have come to the marketplace that have certainly revolutionized things for many businesses. I'm particularly excited, though, about the things that you're talking about now, which is going to be able to kind of push that to the next level and dimensionalize that in a completely new way. But I mean, Janette, you've worked with so many companies and really important businesses that have defined the sector and really shaped fintech. It's a funny question, but I mean, I always try to get a sense of the passion, what drives you to work in this space? And I guess my question always boils down to that thing, which is what gets you up in the morning? Why is this the area that you're focused on?
Yeah, that's a very good question. There are so many people in the US, so many people in developing countries. They are not getting the basic financial services that they deserve. And in some countries, particularly women and girls, in the traditional finance world, for them to get a bank account, they will need their father or their husbands to go to help them get an identity card, and then they can get a bank account, and then they can be included in the economy, in the
Hmm.
financial economy, by getting paid and being able to save money and things like that. So many barriers until they can be connected to the global economy. And there are so many things that we practitioners in fintech that we could do to increase accessibility, financial
Hmm.
inclusion, and hopefully with the innovations in the areas of in the modern industry, modern innovations like such as AI and also Web3, we are able to
Yeah.
create not just the technology to help to make things simpler for people to be included, but
Yeah.
also figure out a way to create a new business model where it is not just the big banks that are taking all the values that are being created by these workers, but also there will be a more equitable way for them to take advantage of their hard work as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to ask you a little bit of a challenging question, Jeanette, I think, because the last couple of years have been quite a roller coaster in the fintech space. I'm speaking about financial technology very broadly here. During COVID, we saw this massive upsurge in the interest in things like cryptocurrencies. I live in Miami, and so I experienced it firsthand, almost like a gold rush situation where people that knew nothing about the technologies that supported it were suddenly experts. And then we've seen that market kind of come back down to earth. But also a lot of these technologies that you're referring to have been getting better and evolving, albeit in an inflationary market, which has challenged banking sectors, right? Where we've had a lot of centralization of power. If anything, I'd have to say what we're seeing in the US is the big banks are winning. Chase just did an uplift on their forecast for the year. So in some ways, some of this kind of democratic thinking that we're talking about, how does that kind of pathway match with really this economic outlook right now, which seems to, in my respect, almost be retrograde? We're almost kind of going back at the same time. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, totally. Particularly right now for startups, it is a very difficult time to
Mm-hmm.
get venture funding. And particularly if they don't have good unit economics. And therefore, things seems to be go back to the business fundamentals,
Yeah.
which might not be a bad thing, meaning
Yeah.
companies shouldn't
You
be
mean we have
just
to make money?
we shouldn't be just like chasing the shiny objects, which
Mm,
we still see things are happening right now for generative AIs. Apparently that's the pretty much you put that on the pitch deck, and then that's it's already the pass
mhm.
to get attention. And this is a good time when capitals are expensive, then companies have to prove that they are creating real values. And therefore, we all need to solve real customer problems. And
Right.
going back to your comment about crypto, when they are all about speculative, when money is too easy to earn, people forget to solve the real problem about payments, real problems about savings in countries like Africa, where they need some new payment infrastructure most. Hopefully, right now, it is kind of a reset button where
Yeah.
people start to put the spotlight into real entrepreneurs that are solving real problems in building the economies in these places. Something that I'm also very passionate about,
Yeah.
because I feel like while in the developed countries like US, UK, Europe, where payments, fintech, pretty much, the dynamics are set, customers' behaviors are set. You look at China, that in a way the largest players also emerged. Southeast Asia is still very vibrant in terms of how they can innovate in a way that they can grab more market shares. But in Africa, things are still at the beginning, and a lot can be done to really deliver real values to
Yeah.
the people there.
I love that. I mean, I know that there was a lot of kind of discussion on micro funding and micro investing models a couple of years ago in some of those markets. And certainly I can see how shifting kind of the way we think of risk and structure fintech can play a big role in really, I think, your goal, Janette, which is to offer larger sectors of the global population a chance to participate in the financial economy in a more meaningful way, which is a great thought. Well, with that in mind, let's talk about today and the future. You're working with a lot of the companies that are shaping that future. What do you see on the horizon over the next, let's say, 18 months to 2 years that are going to really start to shape the fintech space?
Well, first trend is the intersection between generative AI and fintech. Some of the things that we are doing is how we can use GPT to look at, for example, a ticket from a point of sale systems and grab the essential information from the ticket
Hmm.
and then facilitate payment. This, before GPT, has to be done in rules-based way
Yeah.
to analyze it, and you have to pretty much custom make the model every time you encounter a new system. But with GPT, it is fascinating that we can pretty much teach the model how to recognize the amount that the customer needs to pay, and they are able to do it with very, very, very high accuracy. It's just
Yeah.
mind blowing. And we also start to play with how to use GPT, for example, to look at the data trend and be able to not just show a dashboard to the customer, but can pretty much verbalize the insight. Hey, it looks like your particular store's revenue is a lot less than last week. It might be that you've been overspending on labor.
Mm.
So you can already use GPT to identify the insights and verbalize it so that it become really something easy for end users to take a look and act on it.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a big area for sure. And I like the focus on easy. I think that that's probably one of the key factors, that when these financial systems eliminate the complexities and almost do the kind of the analysis and the risk analysis behind the scenes that can support, can be tremendously helpful. And I'm hoping that it really, how should I say, changes the way we think of customers. This is a kind of a personal goal of mine. I think that there's a lot of people out there that don't get credit, and they deserve credit. These are people that, perhaps get shut out of the credit systems, but the reality is that they're good bets. They pay their bills on time,
And I
things
want to
like that. Yeah.
bring up that point you were just talking about. This is also the trend of future of work, where
Yeah.
all of us will be working on one or multiple gigs. And this is the life where generative AI also is going to make it easier, because do you remember there was a quote from the movie Ratatouille? Anyone can cook. Now with generative AI, anyone could become a content creator.
Yeah.
So the bar can be lower, and that actually can encourage more people who were invisible before, and now they can have their voice heard, and
Yes.
a lot of things could come out of it. And you will probably see how fintech has not been doing well to serve these future creators.
Yeah.
And one of the trend is also to think about how can we make fintech more accessible for
Hmm.
these up and coming content creators as well. Some of
Yeah.
them might be teenagers, they might not even be adults yet, but they are already very active in content creation and creating a lot of values to the public, and how to make sure that they are able to manage their money well, they can get the support that they need, particularly in developing countries. How
Yeah.
can these creative content generators, how can they get paid? How can they be plugged into the global economy? It's
Yeah.
definitely something that generative AI is exacerbating that problem that needs to be solved sooner than later.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I think we've highlighted a lot of interesting challenges. I've also highlighted some of the avenues that companies are exploring to solve these problems. And Janette, you're working with all of them. So it's great to have a chance to speak with you today. If someone wanted to learn more about what you're working on, and maybe someone that's looking for an advisor or maybe an investor, where's the best place to find you, Janette?
Yeah, Lincoln would be a great place. My mission has been helping fintech and Web3 co-founders make their dreams real. And often that means how to translate a high-level vision into something more concrete by starting with customer insights, customer insights discovery, and then figure out how to create a product from 0 to 1 through prototyping, through co-designing with customers.
Hmm.
And these are the things that it I have joy helping co-founders with.
Amazing. Well, Janette, again, thank you so much for being on Uncaged today. We've been speaking with Janette Chung. She's currently the Chief Product Officer at Copper. She is also really an incredible expert that can help startups as well as companies that are emerging in fintech, e-commerce, any marketplace platforms. We've been talking about the work that she's been doing in the fintech space and really looking at some challenges where she's trying to help companies that are empowering communities to get more people involved in the financial world and benefit from the financial services and solutions that are available. So making it more accessible, making it more democratic, which is really quite exciting. Janette, thank you so much for being on Uncaged Day, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.